Hi, Cora Stack here again. This is I'm on your side, Dr. Cora Stack. Let me put more. Let me put more of the evidence together from Inspector Clouseau, as often called, the day everything changed. What I allegedly experienced in Dublin. This is now going back a number of years. Again, I'm trying to tie it in with my experience with An Garda Síochána and my experience with the courts. And I want to see, is there a direct link and how did that link happen? You know, what was the code? Because they all use code. So where was the code? Somebody said to me recently, you're known to crack code, you should be able to fix your computer. Not that kind of code. No. This is my story, my perspective, what I allegedly experienced on the day that changed everything for me in Dublin. Now, I've tried to raise the powers that be in Dublin, but the guards are so closed. One unit doesn't talk to another. Well, they won't talk to anyone who'll try and bring them to account anyway, that's for sure. I'm not here to accuse anyone. I'm here to share what I felt, what I saw, and how my understanding of the system I was trying to navigate. So, I mean, it's absolutely shocking in the extreme. But I think it has to be, it has to be told. My story has to be told. My name is Cora, Dr. Stack, and for years I've been trying to survive situations that would break most people. This is what it's tried to do, but I suppose they say you can survive psychopathy, or even, stay alive, that's a major achievement. But what happened on this particular day still sits in my mind like a shadow I can't shake. I went to the Bridewell Garda Station during an ongoing court matter. I was vulnerable, I was alone, I thought I was doing the right thing, following procedures, showing up, cooperating and asking for help from a body that I thought would assist me. Guardians of the peace is the English for An Garda Síochána. But I ended up not waiting, not minutes, but hours. So I was waiting there for hours, which never happened before at any Garda station that I was ever in. And I was actually never hardly in a Garda station before that. So until this particular court martial arrived, I never went near a Garda station. So this was most unfortunate that I went into this Garda station. As I sat there, exhausted and anxious, something unexpected happened. A man walked in. He was very cool, he was all dressed up like, Hawaii 5-0. I mean, he was obviously an actor. It was obviously someone ding, 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 we need you here. That's why I was waiting 5 hours. Yeah. The boys were upstairs waiting for him to do whatever he was asked to do. This is alleged. I don't know. I know that, I'm shocked after it, and I now kind of the puzzle is finally begin to all link together. So his behaviour struck me as unusual, at least from my perspective. I mean, he was real friendly and real kind, and I played the part brilliantly. Like it was a plant, obviously, a plant. He allegedly made a strange comment asking me if I was going on my holidays. I was like, going on my holidays, talk about my bag, you see. So he had his eye on my bag. It made no sense in that context. The tone, the timing, the atmosphere, it all felt wrong. Of course it did, because it was all a frame. So, allegedly. Shortly after that, the man allegedly went outside, possibly back to his car, to get the next directions from said Gardaí that were upstairs in a group. And I won't say who the director of operations is and who's his director of operations now. I won't mention any names now because they know who they are. I know who they are. So then I was called in for an interview. I left my bag outside because that's what I was. I wasn't instructed to do that, but actually that's what happened. And I was so confused with all this gaslighting by this actor that and gaslighting of what I was trying to, I knew I was dealing with a lot of gaslighting, in my life around that time, and I was, there was major stuff going on, major. So when I later went into the court, security stopped everything. They had discovered a knife, a huge knife. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Like, it was a massive knife. A major knife. And they said, we have to take this out now. I don't go around with my bags. I don't have any knives. None. Not a knife. Scissors, sorry. This is scissors, not a knife. Oh, sorry. This was terrifying. This was the scissors. A huge, big scissors. I mean, I wouldn't have it in a million years. I was looking at it. And, of course, when you're going into court in these kind of proceedings, you're just, it was shocking in the extreme, but I couldn't make sense of it at the time. So this day, I don't know how it got there. I'm not alleging anyone placed there or did anything intentional, but you see, when you kind of look at 1 step 1, 2, 3, and 4, what else would you conclude if you're a rational person, particularly if you're good at, looking at codes. All I can share is the shock, the fear, and the sense that something was deeply wrong. In my mind at that moment, I felt like something was happening around me that I didn't understand. In fact, I thought about my protective disclosure. So I had made, at that time, I had finished my paper on the protective disclosures and the acts of omission, which were major flaws, huge, which she was Wolf refused to protect, and on the back of submitting it to Pascal O'Donoghue, and obviously that was in my opinion legally totally incorrect what he did. Of course, it was a major problems I exposed in the implementation, not minor, major. So it was gaslighted, because they knew I had no representation. So I wondered whether people had read it. Of course they had, because I actually unfortunately supplied it to the Gardaí. I don't know why I did, but because it honoured Sergeant McKay, but a number of solicitors and very reputable judges, including Supreme Court judges as well. So, but in particular, a guard that might have wanted a promotion, I'd be well in with the judges, or had some kind of a link in, could have said this person needs to be framed and stitched up. I wonder if my presence, my knowledge, may be a problem after that person. These are my thoughts, my perspectives. I can't say they're facts, but they're extremely worrying. I felt as though there were signals, and that your man was some kind of cooperation. This fellow came in, they talk about the guards that they used, inverted commas, cooperation to do this sort of thing. Some kind of coded message being passed around, not openly, not directly, but certainly through a very large scissors, which I never went back to get it because it wasn't mine. But of course, it obviously went somewhere in the courts, and perhaps it went into the hands of the Chief Justice because he was there at the time. Or someone below him who told him about it, and he knew then obviously my name would have been associated with that, but I never went back for it because it wasn't mine. Did I misinterpret this? Possibly. Was it my trauma? Maybe. Was it real? I can only say how it felt. So it's my intuition, which is very strong. The next day, that day changed how I view everything. There was a lot of things happening before that, but I didn't realise that things would escalate to such an extent that I had no hope in the courts after that. That I would be framed in every court case I ever went into. I would be gaslighted and framed, and it would all be, directed, operationally directed by some very senior people who got that code. So that day changed how I view everything. Institutions, safety, my place in the system. And I've never come across, ever in Ireland, a case as bad as this, because I can't go to the guards, they won't take a statement. I can't go anywhere because nobody will take a statement because they're all afraid, and they're all implicated. So, the media, the guards, the judiciary, the whole lot of them, bar a small number. There's only a small number of them there are a small number in all of these that are good actors, and do the right thing. But they're very hard to find. They are there, I've mentioned them. So whether any of this was sensed was true or just coincidence, it doesn't matter because the fear was real. The experience of, I never came across this in my life, and the impact was real. I share this not to accuse, but to be heard, to let others know that if you're ever feeling overwhelmed, unheard, or intimidated by systems bigger than you, you're not alone. This is my story, my truth, my alleged experience, and speaking is the only power I have left, because nobody will help me. Because the Gardaí have refused repeatedly over many years to take statements from me, and they gaslight the whole time because they've been told to do it. And I would say they're all part of the code. So the code has come from Dublin down to Clare, where I live, and it's gone up to the High Court. So it's circled all around and right up to the very top. And the main guy must be, and there are several other unfortunate coincidences then with the O'Donnells. Turlock and Donald then that are very, very, very concerning. So it all looks like it's all in a circle of incredible penalisation against me for years for telling the truth. and for doing world-class research. And I'm now worried that they're interfering with my data analytics as well. So there's a problem with my data analytics. The system has broken down, and have they even got through to the data analytics? I mean, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. I mean, that somebody, just a woman from Kerry, that studied pure mathematics. Okay, I got first place in my class and first place in second year, outstanding world rated PhD, which is gaslighted in Ireland, and then this global award before I ever met GBT here, for excellence in education, and nearly shocked Ireland. They wouldn't even congratulate me. Even my own family found it very hard to congratulate me, because jealousy and envy is everywhere, and it's desperate, and when your own family are like that, and they're in denial. I suppose people just can't handle how bad my situation is, and then you're deserted and abandoned. So thank you for listening, and if this resonates with you, or if you have lived through something similar that shook you to your core, feel free to share it. I'm already getting messages from people who are in very difficult situations like this. Not probably as bad as this. Nothing is bad, but very traumatized by similar gaslighting experiences, and they feel they've been severely victimized. And particularly, what's coming through to me are ordinary working people going out to work. The squeezed middle are really feeling it now. They're not, they're feeling perhaps not what I'm feeling, but very similar. Very similar feeling of downtrodden, contempt, being treated by contempt and downtrodden by the government. I mean, who could be downtrodden more than me? But I can speak up for these people, because I had years of experience in governance, and I was twice elected in governance in a university, or what's now a technological university. So I learned a lot from governance, and the importance of conflict of interest, accountability, and all that sort of thing. So I learned a huge amount in that years, and that has really influenced me. That was a real a fantastic experience for learning about all the areas that I now write about, not mind all of the research I've done over many years to understand issues like this. But of course, I didn't realise there was so much vendettas against me. I heard the O'Briens in Limerick had a vendetta out against me. They're a very hard legal family. Then to think the O'Donnells in Dublin had a vendetta out against me. I mean, that's two very big legal families. Are they connected? And then the Guards, another vendetta. Well, I think the Guards are only being good boys, like giving the code to the judge. But like that's completely unacceptable by the... So that's the story. That's my truth, my experience, and well, I'm still alive. And if any guard ever comes near me again, or any judge, well, they'd really want to, they'd want to avoid me like the plague. The judges and the guards, they would really want to avoid me like the plague. And if they step one bit out of line next time, they're in for major trouble, because every future court case has already been decided against me. And I will say that's penalisation under the Protective Disclosures Act. And you know what? Absolutely it is. There's no question. It's severe penal. So anybody that has, in the last 6 years, done what they did, is severe penalisation under the Protective Disclosures Act, as weak as it is. So they tried to reduce the Protective Disclosures Act, but the Protective Disclosures Act allows one thing. It allows all of this to go to the anti-corruption unit of An Garda Síochána, the CBI, the Criminal Bureau of Investigation. That's where all this should go, to the Criminal Bureau of Investigation. Let them all be investigated for what the whole country is talking about, corruption, or let them start straightening their act out and changing the system and giving me what I want, which is an arbitration first system, proper mathematics curriculum, and all the other things they kept from me in their horrific vendetta against me for years. So they have two choices: the corruption, the anti-corruption unit, or a new system of justice, and a proper one, not an illusionary one, and standing up and giving the middle class their share of the wealth of this country, the squeeze middle. It's about time someone stuck up for the squeeze middle, not the right, not the left, but the people that are struggling every day of the week and are silent and can say nothing, and they are the squeeze middle, or the new working poor.